The morning fog clung to the military airfield like a shroud, appropriate given the weight of what Captain Elena Voss was about to undertake. She adjusted her tactical vest one final time, feeling the familiar comfort of her sidearm against her ribs. 3 months had passed since humanity's first official contact with an alien species, and tensions remained as thick as the Seattle mist. "Remember, Voss?" Colonel Martinez's voice crackled through her earpiece. "This isn't just a simple escort mission. The entire peace process depends on getting their emissary to the neutral zone safely. No incidents." Elena touched her comm unit, in acknowledgement, her dark eyes scanning the landing pad where a sleek silver transport vessel had just settled with barely a whisper. The craft's design defied human engineering, all flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to shimmer with their own inner light. As the vessel's ramp descended, Elena's breath caught in her throat. The figure that emerged was unlike anything she had prepared herself for. The alien emissary was distinctly feminine in form, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow with an ethereal luminescence. Her hair cascaded in waves of deep crimson, contrasting strikingly against her otherworldly complexion. She wore flowing robes of iridescent fabric that shifted color with each movement. But it was her eyes that truly captured Elena's attention, large, expressive, and remarkably human in their nervousness. When their gazes met, the alien offered a tentative smile that seemed both genuine and carefully practiced. "Captain Voss?" The alien's voice was melodious, her English flawless with only the faintest accent that Elena couldn't place. "I am Kira, of the Zephyrian Council. I hope our journey together will be peaceful." Elena nodded curtly, fighting to maintain her professional demeanor despite the unexpected beauty of her charge. "Ms. Kira, I'm here to ensure your safe transport to the Cascade Research Facility. We'll be taking the mountain route, less populated, more secure." As they walked toward Elena's armored vehicle, she noticed something odd about Kira's movements. Despite her graceful gait, the alien kept her left arm pressed close to her side, and her flowing robes seemed strategically arranged to conceal something. Elena's military training kicked in, cataloging every detail. "Your world is more beautiful than our scouts reported," Kira said as they settled into the vehicle, her fingers nervously adjusting her robes. "The colors, the diversity of life, it's breathtaking." Elena started the engine, stealing glances at her passenger in the rearview mirror. "And your world? What's it like?" A shadow passed over Kira's features. "Different. We've learned to appreciate beauty where we can find it." She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. "That's why these talks are so important. There has been too much conflict in our history." As they pulled away from the airfield and onto the winding mountain highway, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that Kira was hiding something significant. The alien's nervous energy was palpable, and several times Elena caught her glancing anxiously out the rear window. "Are you expecting trouble?" Elena asked directly, her hand instinctively moving closer to her weapon. Kira's pale blue skin seemed to grow even paler. There are those on both our worlds who don't want these negotiations to succeed. I pray we encounter none of them today." The radio crackled with routine check-ins from base, but Elena barely heard them. Her attention was fixed on the way Kira sat, rigid, alert, and with that left arm still mysteriously immobile. Whatever the alien was concealing beneath those shimmering robes, Elena was determined to find out before they reached their destination. As the forest thickened around them and civilization fell away, Elena couldn't escape the feeling that this mission would be far more complicated than a simple escort duty. The stakes were higher than her own safety. The future of human-alien relations hung in the balance, and something told her that Kira's hidden secret would be the key to everything. The mountain road wound through dense pine forests, the silence between Elena and Kira growing heavier with each passing mile. Elena kept her eyes on the serpentine asphalt ahead, but her peripheral vision remained locked on the alien woman beside her. Kira sat with an almost painful stillness, her crimson hair catching the dappled sunlight that filtered through the canopy above. "Tell me about your people," Elena said. breaking the tension. What should I know about Zephyrian culture? Kira's luminous eyes met Elena's in the rearview mirror, and for a moment something vulnerable flickered there. We are cautious by nature. Our history has taught us that trust must be earned through actions, not words. She shifted slightly, and Elena caught the faintest metallic glint beneath the flowing fabric at Kira's side. Sounds familiar. Elena replied, her grip tightening imperceptibly on the steering wheel. Humans aren't exactly known for blind faith either. A ghost of a smile played at Kira's lips. Perhaps that's why our species might understand each other better than expected. She paused, studying Elena's profile. You're not what I anticipated. In a military escort. You're more thoughtful than our intelligence suggested humans could be. Despite herself, Elena felt a flutter of something she couldn't quite name. Your intelligence? Should I be concerned about how much you know about me? Only that you're considered one of Earth's most capable officers, Kira said softly, and that you've never failed a protection assignment. Her voice dropped lower. I find myself grateful for that reputation. The admission hung between them, charged with an undercurrent Elena didn't dare examine too closely. She found herself stealing longer glances at Kira's reflection, noting the graceful curve of her neck, the way her pale blue skin seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Why you? Elena asked suddenly. Why did your people choose you for this mission? Kira's expression grew guarded. I have particular skills that make me suitable for delicate negotiations. She unconsciously adjusted her robes again, and this time, Elena was certain she saw the outline of something rigid against Kira's lower back. What kind of skills? Elena pressed, her military instincts overriding the growing attraction she felt. Diplomatic ones primarily, Kira answered too quickly. Though I've had other training as well. Elena pulled into a scenic overlook, ostensibly to check their route but really to get a better look at her passenger. As she consulted her tablet, she watched Kira step out of the vehicle and move to the cliff's edge. Even in the simple act of walking, there was something predatory about Kira's grace. A coiled tension that spoke of combat training. The view is magnificent, Kira breathed, her red hair whipping in the mountain breeze. On Zephyr, our skies are different, more violet than blue. But this, she gestured at the panorama of forests and distant peaks. This has its own beauty. Elena approached slowly, noting how Kira positioned herself with her back partially to the cliff, a defensive stance that kept all potential threats in view. You move like a soldier, Elena observed. Kira stiffened. Many of my people receive basic training. It's necessary in our society. Basic training doesn't teach someone to automatically scan for escape routes and defensive positions, Elena countered, stepping closer. What aren't you telling me? For a moment, Kira's composure cracked, revealing something raw underneath. There are things about this mission, about me, that your government doesn't know. Things I couldn't tell them without jeopardizing everything we're trying to accomplish. The confession sent Elena's pulse racing, though whether from alarm or proximity to this enigmatic woman she couldn't say. Are you a threat to this mission? No, Kira said firmly, turning to face Elena fully. But I'm not the helpless diplomat your people believe me to be either. They stood barely arm's length apart now, and Elena found herself acutely aware of Kira's alien beauty, the way her skin seemed to glow in the afternoon light, the hypnotic quality of her large, expressive eyes. The attraction was undeniable, dangerous, and growing stronger by the hour. Show me, Elena demanded, her hand moving instinctively toward her sidearm. Whatever you're hiding, show me now. Kira's eyes flashed with something, fear, regret, or perhaps resignation. Not here, not yet. When we reach the facility, I promise you'll understand everything. That's not good enough. Elena's words were cut off by the distant sound of engines, multiple vehicles approaching fast along the mountain road they'd just traveled. Both women tensed, their moment of intimacy shattered by the potential threat. Friends, Of yours? Elena asked grimly, already moving toward their vehicle. Kira's face had gone pale, her earlier nervousness returning tenfold. No, she whispered. And I fear they're not friends of yours either. As Elena grabbed her rifle from the trunk, she caught a glimpse of what Kira had been hiding. A flash of polished metal at the alien's back before the robes fell back into place. Kira, Elena said urgently, whatever that is you're carrying, I hope you know how to use it. The abandoned Cascade Research Facility loomed before them like a monument to humanity's hubris, all concrete and steel rising from the forest floor, its windows dark and empty. Elena guided their vehicle through the rusted security gates, her eyes constantly checking the mirrors for signs of pursuit. The engines they'd heard at the overlook had fallen silent, but that only made her more uneasy. This place gives me chills, Elena muttered, parking near the main entrance. The facility had been shuttered after a containment breach 5 years ago, making it perfect for clandestine meetings. Isolated, secure, and officially non-existent. Kira stepped out of the vehicle with fluid grace, but Elena could see the tension in every line of her body. The alien's red hair seemed to glow against her pale blue skin in the fading afternoon light, and her large eyes darted nervously between the tree line and the facility's shadows. We should move quickly, Kira said, her melodious voice tight with anxiety. The longer we remain exposed, the greater the danger. Elena shouldered her rifle and activated her comm unit. Base, this is Eagle 1. Package delivered to Nest, beginning final approach. Static crackled back, then Colonel Martinez's voice. Copy, Eagle 1. Diplomatic team ETA 20 minutes. Maintain security until handoff. As they approached the Adorais facility's main entrance, Elena's military instincts screamed warnings. The place was too quiet, too perfect for an ambush. She'd felt safer on active battlefields than she did walking across this seemingly empty compound. Kira, Elena said suddenly, stopping in her tracks. I need to see what you're hiding now. The alien woman froze, her back still turned to Elena. Please, Elena, not like this. Turn around, Elena commanded, raising her weapon. Slowly. When Kira complied, Elena could see tears glistening in her luminous eyes. You don't understand. Then, make me understand. Elena's voice echoed off the concrete walls. You've been nervous since the moment we met. You're hiding a weapon, and now we're in the middle of nowhere with unknown hostiles potentially closing in. Talk. Kira's hands moved to her robes with deliberate slowness, and Elena caught her first clear glimpse of what had been concealed. Strapped to Kira's lower back was a blade unlike anything Elena had ever seen, curved and serrated, its metal seeming to shift color in the light with intricate alien designs etched along its length. You lied, Elena breathed, her finger tightening on the trigger. You said you came in peace. I did, Kira insisted, her voice breaking. I brought this for protection, not from you, but from those who would see both our peoples burn rather than find peace. What are you talking about? Kira's composure finally shattered completely. There are factions on both our worlds who profit from conflict, who gain power from fear and hatred. They know about these talks, Elena. They've been planning to sabotage them from the beginning. Before Elena could respond, the sharp crack of a rifle shot split the air, and bark exploded from a tree inches from Kira's head. Both women dove for cover behind a concrete barrier as more shots rang out. So much for 20 minutes, Elena growled, scanning the tree line for muzzle flashes. How many? At least 6, Kira replied, and Elena was startled to see the alien had drawn her strange blade with fluid expertise. 3 human, 3 Zephyrian. You can tell the difference. The Zephyrians are using plasma weapons. The humans prefer kinetic rounds. Kira's entire demeanor had changed. Gone was the nervous diplomat, replaced by someone who moved with deadly purpose. Another volley of shots forced them deeper into cover. Elena keyed her comm, but only static answered. They were being jammed. Elena, Kira said urgently, I need you to trust me. Everything I told you about wanting peace was true, but I'm not just a diplomat. No kidding, Elena replied grimly, returning fire toward a muzzle flash. What are you? Zephyrian intelligence. Deep cover operative. Kira's blade gleamed as she prepared to move. And right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and a very painful death. Elena's mind reeled even as her training took over. The nervous act? Partly real. I've never been this far from home, and I've certainly never. Kira's words were cut off as a plasma bolt seared the air where her head had been moments before. Never what? Elena demanded, laying down covering fire. Kira's pale blue skin flushed darker. Never cared whether my cover remained intact. Not until I met you. The admission hit Elena like a physical blow, even as bullets whined overhead. In the space of minutes, everything she thought she knew had been turned upside down. The beautiful, nervous diplomat was actually a trained operative. The peaceful mission was under attack by extremists from both species, and somehow, impossibly, she was developing feelings for someone who might be playing the deepest game of all. Movement. Left, Elena called out, spotting figures darting between the trees. Kira rose smoothly from cover, her alien blade catching the light as she prepared to fight alongside the human she was supposed to deceive, and found herself desperate to protect instead. The first attacker came from the left flank, a human in military fatigues moving with professional precision through the undergrowth. Elena tracked him through her scope, fingers steady on the trigger, but before she could fire, Kira was already in motion. The alien woman moved like liquid death, her strange blade singing through the air. The attacker's rifle clattered uselessly to the ground as he clutched his wounded shoulder, stumbling backward in shock. Kira hadn't killed him, a choice that spoke volumes about her true intentions. "Behind you!" Elena shouted, spotting the telltale shimmer of a plasma weapon charging in the tree line. Kira spun gracefully, her blade deflecting the energy bolt in a shower of sparks. The weapon's alien design became clear. It wasn't just a cutting tool, but something far more sophisticated, capable of interacting with energy fields in ways human technology couldn't match. Elena provided covering fire as Kira closed the distance with their Zephyrian attacker. The two aliens moved in a deadly dance, their combat flowing with an otherworldly grace that was both beautiful and terrifying to watch. It was clear that Kira was the superior fighter, but she was holding back, seeking to disable rather than destroy. "Elena, the facility," Kira called out between parries. "They're trying to drive us inside." Elena saw it immediately, the tactical mistake she'd almost made. The attackers weren't trying to kill them outright. They were herding them toward the abandoned building where an ambush undoubtedly waited. "This way." Elena grabbed Kira's hand, leading her toward a maintenance shed at the compound's edge. The alien's skin was warm despite its otherworldly appearance, and Elena felt an electric thrill at the contact that had nothing to do with the adrenaline of combat. They reached cover, just as another volley of shots peppered their previous position. In the cramped confines of the shed, Elena found herself pressed close to Kira, acutely aware of the alien woman's rapid breathing and the faint, sweet scent that seemed to emanate from her skin. "How many more?" Elena whispered, checking her ammunition. "Two humans, one Zephyrian," Kira replied, her voice barely audible. "But Elena, there's something else. The facility. It's not as abandoned as your people believe." Elena's blood chilled. "What do you mean?" "Zephyrian intelligence detected energy signatures consistent with active experimentation. Someone has been using this place for illegal research, probably into alien biology." The implications hit Elena like a sledgehammer. "That's why they chose this location. It's not neutral ground, it's a trap." Before Kira could respond, the shed's door exploded inward. Elena rolled left, firing instinctively, while Kira moved right with inhuman speed. The human attacker, a woman in tactical gear, brought her rifle around toward Elena, but Kira's blade found her wrist first, sending the weapon spinning away. "Don't kill her," Elena shouted, seeing the lethal precision in Kira's movements. The alien's eyes met hers across the small space, and something passed between them, an understanding that transcended species. Kira modified her strike at the last second, using the pommel of her blade to render the attacker unconscious instead. "You're not like other soldiers," Kira observed breathlessly as they prepared to move again. "Neither are you." Elena replied, surprised by the husky quality of her own voice. They made their next move together, Elena providing suppressing fire, while Kira used her superior speed and agility to outflank the remaining attackers. Working. In concert, they moved with an almost telepathic coordination that spoke of a deep, instinctive trust. The final Zephyrian proved the most dangerous, an operative whose skills matched Kira's own. Elena watched in fascination and terror as the two aliens engaged in combat that seemed more like art than warfare, their movements flowing with supernatural grace. But Kira had something her opponent lacked: motivation beyond mere duty. Every strike, every defensive move was driven by her determination to protect not just the mission, but Elena herself. When the enemy operative left himself momentarily exposed, Kira's blade found its mark with surgical precision, rendering him unconscious, without permanent harm. As the last attacker fell, Elena and Kira found themselves alone in the sudden quiet of the forest. Both women were breathing hard, adrenaline still coursing through their veins, and the reality of what they'd just survived began to sink in. "Your shoulder," Elena said, noticing the dark stain spreading across Kira's robes where a plasma bolt had grazed her. "It's nothing," Kira protested, but Elena was already moving toward her. "Let me see." Elena's hands were gentle as she examined the wound, and she was surprised by how normal Kira's physiology seemed beneath the alien skin. The injury was shallow, but needed attention. As Elena tended to the wound, their faces mere inches apart, the tension that had been building between them all day reached a breaking point. Kira's large eyes were luminous in the fading light, and Elena found herself drowning in their depths. "Elena," Kira whispered, her voice carrying a note of wonder. "In all my training, no one prepared me for this." "For what?" Elena's voice was barely audible. "For you." The admission hung between them like a bridge neither could cross, yet. Too much still stood in their way, too many questions remained unanswered. But in that moment, surrounded by the aftermath of battle, Elena knew that whatever happened next, her life had been forever changed by this extraordinary woman from another world. The secure debriefing room at Cascade Military Base hummed with tension as Elena faced a panel of officers, their expressions ranging from skeptical to hostile. 3 days had passed since the attack at the research facility, and the questions hadn't stopped coming. "Let me understand this correctly, Captain." General Harrison leaned forward, his weathered face stern. "You're telling us that our peaceful alien diplomat is actually an intelligence operative who saved your life?" "That's correct, sir," Elena replied, maintaining her military bearing despite the exhaustion weighing on her shoulders. Kira's intelligence network uncovered the conspiracy to sabotage the peace talks. Without her intervention, both our species would have been manipulated into conflict. Colonel Martinez shuffled through the files on his tablet. "The attackers have been identified. 3 humans linked to the Terra Purist movement. 3 Zephyrians from what they call the Purity faction. Both groups profit from interspecies tensions." Elena's mind drifted to Kira, who was undoubtedly facing similar interrogation in another part of the facility. The alien woman had been separated from her immediately upon their return, despite Elena's protests. The official reason was security, protocol. But Elena suspected it was also to prevent them from coordinating their stories, as if what they'd shared could be reduced to mere tactical deception. "Captain Voss?" General Harrison's sharp tone brought her back to the present. "I asked you a question." "I'm sorry, sir, could you repeat it?" The general's eyes narrowed. "I asked about your personal feelings regarding the subject. Your report mentions unusual attachment." Elena felt heat rise in her cheeks but kept her voice steady. "Kira saved my life, sir. She chose to reveal her true identity and compromise her mission to protect me. That earns respect regardless of species." "Respect," Martinez echoed, his tone suggesting he suspected there was more to it than that. "Nothing else?" Before Elena could answer, the door opened and Admiral Chen entered, followed by a figure that made Elena's heart skip. Kira, looking regal despite her simple Earth-style clothing, flanked by 2 guards. The Zephyrian Council has agreed to continue negotiations, Admiral Chen announced. Agent Kira has been granted diplomatic immunity in recognition of her actions. She'll be remaining on Earth as the primary liaison for future talks. Elena struggled to maintain her composure as Kira's eyes found hers across the room. The alien woman looked tired but unharmed, and Elena felt a wave of relief she couldn't entirely hide. There is one complication, Admiral Chen continued. The Council has requested that Captain Voss be assigned as Agent Kira's permanent security liaison. It seems they've developed considerable trust in your abilities, Captain. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Elena would be working closely with Kira indefinitely, a prospect that sent her pulse racing for reasons that had nothing to do with professional duty. General Harrison cleared his throat. Very well. Captain Voss, you'll report to the Diplomatic Protection Division effective immediately. This briefing is concluded. As the officers filed out, Elena found herself alone with Kira for the first time since their return. The alien woman approached slowly, her movements as graceful as ever but tinged with uncertainty. Hello, Elena, Kira said softly, her melodious voice carrying a note of vulnerability that made Elena's chest tighten. Hello, Kira. Or should I say Agent Kira now that your cover's blown? A smile played at Kira's lips, the first genuine expression Elena had seen from her since their separation. Just Kira, please. I've done enough pretending to last several lifetimes. They stood facing each other in the sterile room, the weight of everything unspoken hanging between them. Elena wanted to close the distance, to touch Kira's pale blue skin and reassure herself that this extraordinary woman was real and safe. Elena, Kira began hesitantly. What happened between us in the forest wasn't just adrenaline, Elena finished, stepping closer. I know. I've been thinking about little else for 3 days. Kira's large eyes widened, hope flickering in their depths. Your people, they won't approve. An interspecies relationship would be seen as complicated, Elena agreed, reaching out to gently touch Kira's hand. The alien woman's skin was warm and incredibly soft, sending electricity up Elena's arm. But not impossible. The world is changing, Kira. Your people and mine are going to have to learn to coexist. We might as well start with the most important things. Like trust? Kira asked, intertwining their fingers. Like love, Elena replied, the word escaping before she could second-guess herself. Kira's breath caught, her pale blue skin flushing a deeper hue. Elena silenced her with a kiss, pouring 3 days of worry, relief, and growing affection into the contact. Kira responded with surprising passion, her free hand coming up to cup Elena's face with infinite tenderness. When they finally broke apart, both women were breathing hard, their foreheads pressed together as they shared the same air. This won't be easy, Elena whispered against Kira's lips. There will be people on both sides who object, who try to use our relationship against the peace process. Then we'll have to be stronger than their prejudice, Kira replied, her voice fierce with determination. We'll have to prove that love can bridge any divide, even the space between worlds. Elena smiled, feeling lighter than she had in years. Think we can handle being the poster couple for interspecies relations? Kira laughed, a sound like silver bells that made Elena's heart soar. With you beside me, I think I can handle anything. They held each other in the quiet room. Elena realized that what had begun as a simple escort mission had become something far more significant. They weren't just two individuals falling in love. They were the first chapter in a new story for both their species, proof that understanding and connection could flourish, even in the face of fear and prejudice. The future stretched ahead of them, uncertain but bright with possibility. And whatever challenges awaited, Elena knew they would face them together. Human and Zephyrian, soldier and spy, two hearts beating as one across the vast divide of space and species. Outside the facility's windows, the first stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky, and Elena couldn't help but wonder which one was Kira's home. Soon, perhaps, it might be hers as well,